Welcome, ladies, and in today's lesson, inshallah, we will talk about the factors that impact on the health and safety of guests, staff, and visitors. First, we need to understand why it's important to keep health and safe environment in public and work areas. Why it's too important to the business and to the individuals. We need to keep an eye on the health and safety on the place where we work, as it's very important to protect the people who will be joining us in that place, either the employees or the visitors or the customers. If we trying to keep the health and safety environment always available in our place, this means we are ongoing track with our business. Workplace which neglected health and safety risk prosecution, the one that has hazards in its environment, this can lead to losing their staffs, losing their visitors, and this also will, on the other way, it will increase the cost and lose the profitability of our place. So we need to make sure that we have a health and safety environment on our place. What does it mean health? What does it mean safety? Health refers to our general well-being, which means that we enjoy freedom from disease and have a sense of physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being. So, health means keeping your health secured on all phases, from mental, from emotional, from physical, so you are in a safe place of being injured or being affected with disease. So safety is feeling of security. You feel you are insecure in that in your staying in that place. We can work without dangers or injury. So this is the difference between health and safety meaning. Other way, for sure, we will have a hazards in any working environment, and in hospitality industry, the most common hazard that can be faced in guest areas and also in work areas are lifting and pushing. We always have a lot of peoples going on and going out, and this might cause people pushing themselves around other things or other people. This can cause dropping on the floor or while handling heavy or awkward shaped objects. So this might be a very common problem or a very common hazards. Hazards mean dangers. Also, we have slips, trips, falls. We might have people falling down or slipping on the floor, on the wet floor, or uneven surface. Hot surface and substances like touching the hot pan or hot plates or splash from hot oils or liquids. So this is most also common hazards on gust areas. Cutting equipment like knives, electric meat slicer. So the usage of cutting equipment might cause common hazard. Occupational violence, like people who have bad attitude or abusive customer or dealing with robbers. So this also occupational violence. So the violence caused by some people. The chance that this hazard will result in an injury for young workers is higher when they are combined with risk factors. So, hazards will be always there, but if the risk causing that hazard is high, this means people are not unsafe currently with that environment. So we need to reduce the risk of accusing that hazard. When this risk factors might happen when we have lack of supervision, so we don't have people who can monitor the place and look for hazards. If we have inexperienced employees, for example, they are not expert enough to notice the wet floor, to notice the spilling hot liquid, trying to impress the boss, supervisor, or coworkers. Also, this can be if someone tried to be a fancy in his environment, then he might cause a risk because of this. If we have temporary employment, people who just joined the work for part time or just for a few days, they might be not experienced enough to know the locations, to know how to deal with different hazards. When hazards are combined with risk factors, these are called dangerous combinations. So, whenever we have high risk and high hazard, this will become dangerous combination. This means the chance of people getting injured and possible seriousness of the injury will increase also. So we have to make sure that we provide low risk with the acceptable hazard level and keep people in safe place. Um, to make sure that people aware about the hazards around them, it's better to use signs to inform them about what are the probable hazard around them. Like, for example, if we use the signs of cautions or warning, yellow label, we inform the people that this service, this floor is most slippers, most slippers. So people might fall down or slips on walking on that floor. If we use this sign, the yellow sign with the red triangle, we give a warning here. We give a notice about a wet floor, so people um, will give more care when they walk on wet surface. We always use red color to inform people this is dangerous, this is prohibited, this is stop sign. Where yellow color usually means a warning message or be careful about this place. So it's like a caution. We can notice here the two pictures, the difference between two pictures. Both people in these two pictures are lifting and carrying heavy equipment. The difference between here and here, this environment use labels to inform the people about the spaces they have to move in, like a walking space, not for carrying heavy things. um, this people in this picture looks more organized, whereas the people on the right picture, they have a truck who carries sands and there is someone walking beneath it, so this can be a hazard. We have here people on the stairs, and the stairs is standing on another tower, so this is also dangerous. So you can see the hazard and you can notice the hazard when you see it. We should use the caution signs and labeling. Okay. How the risk of injury to guests and colleagues can be avoided. So it's very important to avoid um the possibility of people falling in dangers or be in dangers or at the risk of injury. So always be alert. Always try to notice what's around you and what might cause a hazard. There is a reason why many workers insist upon that morning coffee. Being awake and alert isn't just important in order to complete tasks adequately, but it also helps to keep both you and your coworkers out of harm's way. So always be alert, always notice what can be dangers for you, either electricity spills or machine that is not in its correct place, not in its correct use. Don't rush your work. This means in many workplaces, time is of the essence. Employees are given deadline that they must meet, so there is often a sense of urgent. We always an urgent if we have limited time to finish our task. However, to take the appropriate amount of time to perform your duties safely. So always make sure you place enough time for your task to finish them. Where require safety gear based on your working environment. Sometimes you have to wear the hat, sometimes you have to wear the lab coat or the gloves or the safety shoes. So whatever your working environment is, you have to wear your uniform, you have to follow the safety procedures. Um, Follow instructions to a T. You have to stick to the instruction and work with diligence and awareness of your surroundings. So always follow the instructions. If your work prohibited to have a kettle inside your office, then you have to follow the instructions. Pay attention to and follow emergency drill. For any working place, there must be an emergency plan that all the employees should be aware of and follow it in case of any emergency. So, emergency drills mean the evacuation plan, the purpose of teaching the employees what to do in the event of any emergencies, and they have to evacuate the space or the place. Why they should be aware of to minimize and avoid having endangers. Insist upon proper training. You have to attend the training for the safety procedures. It's very mandatory, very important to know what exactly you have to do in case of any emergency situation to keep you safe. Why recording of incident is important. So if we have, for example, an accident in the place or a hazard in the place, this means we have to record that incident, to record that accident. Because this will be our main source of information, our primary source of information about the people who was involved in that accident and what was the source of the hazard, so what caused the dangers for these people. Also, keeping incidents record will provide a broad spectrum of information about the circumstances, so you will know exactly what was surrounding the environment that caused that dangers to people, and also will help to ensure better course of action. So it will ensure that you are prepared well for such a case next time. And this way you will actually try to prevent the incidents. Timely reporting also allows site to recognize cluster and trends of incidents. So you have also to keep a record about the time, how much minutes it takes to evacuate the space or for this incident to happen. Um, it will help the managers to address root cause. So it will help to cause, if it takes too much time, it will help to recognize who is in danger, how we can quick the procedures to become more safe. Why it's important to report hazard promptly? Also, if you notice any issue that can cause a hazard to the people, then it's very important to report it to your managers, as accident must be investigated and their causes found to prevent the same injuries from happening again to someone else. Uh, the main reason here that we need to prevent the hazards, we need to avoid it from happening again. If we are staying in a space or a place that always we always have some dangers in place, this means people will work there with stress and anxiety. We need to make sure that all the employees gas services are in safe in staying in that place. So if you see any hazard, you have to immediately report it to your employer and try to avoid accident in the future by following safety proaction and procedures. What is your responsibility as an employee? You have to follow the safety rules. You have to read the evacuation plan. You have to comply with applicable standards. You have to wear your safety equipment. You have to report hazard. You have to report job related injury or illness. You have to seek treatment promptly. How to report it? How to report hazard, incidents, or injuries? First, you have to contact the relevant person, usually your manager, either verbally or written. So you write an email or you will write a notice to your managers or you will speak to him. Sometimes you need to report the incidents to the government authorities. Depending on the time of the incident or emergency services might also need to be informed. You have to use the correct report form for reporting hazards. There must be a standard form, so you have to use the standard form. And for the rest of the points here, I believe it's related for UK government. What we need to get out of these points here, we have to forward all hazard incident to the legal authorities, like for our case, to your managers. If not available or needs to seek higher authority, then you have to contact 998. Um, This is an example of incident report form, a formal report form. If you see here, it should include the name of the reporter, the location and designation, what is your job role, and what is your phone number. It's like personal information about the reporter. Then you have to to write information regarding the incident, like the date you see it, the time, and if you notify the government authorities like police or fire fighter. Also the location where you have see the incident. Then you have to explain the incident. This is what usually needs to be written in any incident report form. Um, in order for accidents to be reported, there must be procedures in place. Every engineering organization must have an accident reporting procedure. So there is a reporting procedures. You have to keep a record about all accidents or incidents or emergencies happen in the working environment. If there is a message needs to be informed to all employees, then we have to put it on a board with notice, big notice label there, like notice to employees, report all accidents and injuries to your foreman at once. Foreman, which is a job rule in engineering environment. To whom health and safety hazards should be reported? Usually to health and safety officer. For any working place, there must be health and safety officer who look for the health and safety of the people there. So if you notice any hazard, you have to report the hazards to him. So if you are a normal employer, you have to report to your supervisor, and the supervisors need to also inform his manager. The worker needs to follow the safe procedures and report hazards. The supervisors needs to look around the potential and actual dangers and identify hazard. The employer needs to determine who is responsible for what aspect of health and safety, develop programs to address safety concern. Okay. What is the typical uniform requirement for personal protective gear? Usually, if you are working as guest services operation or reception, for sure you will not wear a lab coat or a hat, a safety hat, or a safety shoes. But to keep the environment safe, disease free, for example, you have to avoid contacting by hands. If you have some sneezing or some cold or some flu, you have to stay away from at least 1 meter from the gust. If you are working in environment where high risk of dangers might occur, like for example engineering site, then you have to protect your eye, your ear, your hand, your body. For eye, you can use the glass, especially from spoiling the chemical materials or dust or chaff or flying brush. Safety glass, juggle, and face shield are available. So all these ways of a protection can be used to protect your eye or face. Hearing protection, usually we use it if we an environment with very strong sound. So there is soundproof cap where you have to cover your ear with ear plugs. Uh, if you need to deal with something dangerous in skin, then use some hand protection like gloves, wearing gloves. If there is respiratory protection, then you have to use a mask that prevent you from smoking, breathing a dust or a chaff or chemical carriage. This is an example of different signs and symbols related to hazards. So these people are wearing a full safety gear, hat with the jacket, with the gloves, as they seems working in high service or inside the cage. So this one also wearing eyeglass, wearing a safety hat, wearing jacket. He seems he's working in with a lot of cutting edge equipment like knives, like strong wooden cutter. So this is usually where we can found in working environment. We can see warning signs. We can see information like wash your hands with soap and water, wear your lab coat, wear your eyeglass. Where these signs mean this is cost of affected viruses. This is dangers of getting shocked. This is warning about liquid in your hand. So here is no high heel sign, and here is better safe than sorry. So we already have seen some of the signs regard the safety signs and warning signs. This is regard the sharp object. This is the use of sharp objects. So be careful with using these objects. I will stop in here. Lesson 3, and we still have to finish lesson 4 inshallah in next session. But if you have nothing, sorry ladies, We already finished, ladies. Anyone have a question? Okay, ladies. So thank you for attending today's session, and I will share with you, inshallah, the recording. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.